In this video, I'm going to answer the constant question of how do I get the best rate for a cruise? How can I lower the cost of my cruise? And how can I save money on an existing cruise expense? I'm going to answer those questions and more. So you're here because you want to save money on a cruise, or you already booked a cruise and you heard about people getting a lower price after they booked. So let's talk about a few things. I'm going to give you 10 things that you can do to save money on cruises now or in the future. The first thing is don't wait for sales. Most sales are a marketing ploy. They appear to give you a lower rate, but just do the math. You'll see a sale one day, the next day there's no sale, but if you do the math, in the end, they come out to the same amount of money. Now don't get me wrong, there are some sales out there that will save you money, but the majority of them do not. If you find a cruise that you want, just book it, because you can keep an eye out on those rates, and if the rates drop, you can rebook that cruise. You can call the cruise line or your travel agent and they can adjust the price that you paid for your cruise, saving you money there. Most of the time this happens because, let's say for example, the cruise isn't selling as fast as that cruise line would like it, so they reduce the price of specific sailings or specific cruise cabins. And if it happens to be your cabin, you're going to luck out and get a lower rate. So pay attention to the prices leading up into your cruise, because as long as you didn't pay your cruise off, in other words, you still have a balance remaining, you can lower that rate. The second thing I'm going to talk about is travel agents. Do you use a travel agent or do you book it on your own? So personally, I used to always book on my own because I kept an eye on all the prices. I would call the cruise line, make sure they would adjust my price and so on. Guess what? Even though I thought I was getting a great rate, I wasn't. Because if you call a travel agency, not only can they help you plan and book your cruise, they can also recommend a different cruise line or a different cruise ship depending on what you're looking for, what your family enjoys. They have been on these cruises and they are the best to recommend these cruises. Now, usually as soon as that sailing is released, your travel agent books a block of rooms. These rates will never change for that travel agent once they lock them in. So in most cases, they're going to have a much lower rate than if you wait for a sale or even book directly with the cruise line. Because chances are months and months, maybe even a year has passed since that travel agency booked in at that lower rate. This happened to me twice just this year. So the first time was I sailed on the Symphony of the Seas on a 7-night cruise, and my travel agency had already had these blocks of rooms and we needed 5 rooms. They got us these rooms for under $1,000 a person. The cruise line was actually selling that cabin for much, much more than that. I couldn't believe that. Now, on an upcoming cruise, I'm actually booked in a Central Park balcony because my travel agency had blocks of rooms in that location on the ship. Now, I have other friends coming who have booked separately, and they are actually paying more for an interior cabin than I'm paying for a balcony room. It is wise to use a travel agent. Speaking of interior cabins, I swore I would never stay in another interior cabin after my first cruise back in the 90s. But guess what? This year, I've stayed in 2 interior cabins. Why? Because I wanted to sail, and it was the cheapest way to go. I figured I'm not in the cabin that much, and I'd rather have that money in my pocket or apply that money to another cruise this year. So I stayed in an interior cabin, and I really didn't mind it at all. Now, is it my favorite? No. But will I do it again? Absolutely. I also have another video on how to cruise for free. So be sure to check out that video, and I'll put the link at the end of this one. The next way to save money is don't look at the fancy big brand new ships. Look at some of those older ships because they tend to cost a little less money now. They will have less bells and whistles, but they're still beautiful, and they're going to provide that nice relaxing vacation that you're dreaming of. If you're new here, thanks for joining. go ahead and hit the like button or even subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any cruise content that we put out. The next way to save some money is take a look at the cruise length. In other words, don't search based on the number of days, because sometimes you can actually get a longer cruise for less than a shorter cruise. For example, let's say you want to go on the new Utopia of the Seas and they have a 3-day and a 4-day cruise. You're probably thinking, well, it's going to be expensive, which it is because it's brand new, but let me look at these 3-day cruises and the prices look relatively good to you, so you book it. Don't forget, hop over and look at that 4-day cruise as well, because you're going to be surprised that sometimes that 4-day cruise could actually be less than the 3-day, so you're actually going to end up with a free day. I'm sure when you've been booking these cabins, you've noticed guaranteed cabins. This is another way you can save money. They are always less than if you select your cabin on your own. Now, what you're doing is you're giving the control over to the cruise line. You're actually letting the cruise line pick your cabin. So you're not going to get assigned a room number or a cabin number until closer to your sale date. And this is because the cruise line is going to wait until most of their cabins are completely sold. And then they're going to place you where these remaining cabins have been that have not been selected. So you're kind of at their mercy. Well, you are at their mercy because you don't know where the location's going to be. You might get an obstructed view if you picked a balcony guaranteed cabin and so on. However, if you're trying to save money, this is a gamble, but it can work out to your advantage. For example, Carnival oftentimes will give out their spa cabins, which means you get a free day pass to their thermal spa included with your cabin, because they typically don't sell out of those cabins. And when it gets closer to the cruise date, those interior cabins or the standard cabins are more likely to sell to somebody else. So they will move you, because you did the guarantee cabin, to one of these upgraded spa cabins and sell that other one, as opposed to going without selling that spa cabin at all. Make sense? Because they're trying to fill up their ship. It's not guaranteed, even though it says guaranteed cabin. You're guaranteed a cabin. You're guaranteed a place on the ship. You just don't know where, but you are guaranteed to save money with that option. The next way to put some money back in your pocket is to sail during the off season. Pay less in off season, because when kids are out of school during summers, holidays, spring breaks, all the families want to travel. The cruise lines will raise their prices because they know you're going to pay it. So wait till the kiddos go back to school and travel. The best time to do this is late August or early September, or the week after New Year's. If you don't believe me, let's look. Check those New Year's prices that are coming up. If you want to be on a ship during New Year's Eve, and then look at the week after, you're probably looking at $1,000 a week difference per person. That week is always extremely high, and prices will always drop. So consider when you're taking your cruise. The next way to save some money is to consider putting more than 1 or 2 people in a cabin, because once you hit 3 or 4 people in a cabin, those prices come down. Now, do I want to be with 4 people in an interior cabin? I do not, because I don't even want to be in an interior cabin most of the time. But would I do it? Maybe. If I really wanted to cruise and that was my only option due to my budget at that time, I would definitely do it. It's not always comfortable, but it'll work. The next way to guarantee to save some money for your upcoming cruise is to buy the things before you go. What do I mean by that? The drink packages, the refreshment packages, soda packages, the internet, your specialty dining. Always purchase those before you get on the ship. Once you get on the ship, they will never be as low as they were before you left. They're always going to be higher rated on the cruise ship. Now, they do have sales typically around Black Friday. I know Royal Caribbean is famous for their sales, but other cruise lines also offer sales on Black Friday. Let's say you really want that drink package, but $100 a day is way too expensive for you. Go ahead and buy it and keep an eye out on that price. Come Black Friday, I guarantee it's going to drop probably to 30% or 35% off. And all you need to do is cancel that original drink package that you purchased and rebuy it. It takes about 7 to 10 days to get your refund back on your original credit card, and you'll be purchasing the drink package closer to $65 to $80 a day versus $100 and some a day. It also depends on the ship, but there are Black Friday prices out there, and that is the best way to save money on all of the things that you're looking forward to doing that is not included in your cruise. Consider driving to a port versus flying. You're going to save hundreds or thousands of dollars by driving to your port versus paying for airfare, paying for hotels, paying for food once you get there, because typically you have to travel the day before if you're flying. That adds up. It also adds up depending on how many people you have to pay for. So if you're within driving distance, I say drive to the port. It is always going to save you money. Personally, I would rather go to Florida or go to Texas and get on some of these larger brand new ships, but that requires me to fly. I'm up here on the East Coast. I am within driving distance to Baltimore and New York, New Jersey, and even Boston if I stretch it a little bit. I would rather do that and just leave my car and pay to park. I'm still saving hundreds of dollars doing that. And I can still get on some of the bigger ships out of New York and New Jersey. Takes a little longer to get where I'm going, but I would rather do that and have enough money to go on another cruise that year if that's the thing that I want to do. If you find that you're going to be cruising a lot and you do want to fly to places, just be smart. Make sure you're signing up for your favorite airline's frequent flyer program. That way you're earning points on these flights, and eventually you're going to get a free flight out of it. So you're going to get to fly for free, and even with the hotels, sign up for that hotel's points program, and you could also be getting some free hotel stay. Hey guys, we got a new series that just came out 2 weeks ago called Cruise Fix. In other words, get your cruise fix. Every Wednesday at 6 p.m. you can join me. Well, you won't see me because all you're going to see are different parts of a cruise ship, different parts of ports. It'll be 5 minutes or less. So it's in, it's out, you get your fix, and you're going to see all kinds of different places. You're going to see all kinds of different ships, and you're going to have a nice little relaxing moment, if you will. Grab a cup of coffee, grab your favorite beverage, sit back and relax. So hopefully this video helped you. If it did, before you leave, please hit that like button. Thank you for being here. I always enjoy having you. I hope you're looking forward to your next cruise as much as I am. I'm already counting down my days. Hopefully you are too. And until then, happy sailing.